Hey everybody, good morning. It is Tuesday morning, April 14th, and I hope everybody is doing okay this morning. A lot of us had a busy night last night. Some of us had quite a bit of anxiety last night. A little bit unexpected, not totally unexpected, just didn't see things coming together quite in the way they did last night. And so I think that is kind of the theme we need to pay attention to for the week. We are not out of the woods in terms of severe weather possibility days. We're going to go over that here in just a second, but hope everybody's doing okay this morning. I see storm reports that have come in overnight. And so, as no big surprise, if you guys were watching the live stream last night, several confirmed spottings of a tornado last night, all over here in the Kansas side. We're talking about Melbourne and Pomona, and around Ottawa in specific, and then over here specifically around Hillsdale State Park, right? So these are preliminary reports that have not been reviewed yet, but photos shared of a tornado on the ground looking northeast at the storm by a spotter. So quite a few of those last night in the Hillsdale and south of Spring Hill neighborhoods. And then again, down here, closer to home for some of us, we saw a tornado touchdown around Blue Mound over here around Kansas 31. And we also had a confirmation down here just south of Pleasanton, crossing the highway there south of Pleasanton as well. So after it got into Missouri, not totally sure what happened last night. Saw lots of rotation, lots of close to the ground rotation. So expecting storm damage all the way continuing through this track to just out southwest of Butler we may see before the day is out. So keep an eye on those storm damage reports and let me know what you guys are seeing around the area as the sun comes up this morning as well. Today's forecast and last night's severe weather coverage brought to you by State Line Group, a few Missouri awesome local sponsors. Can do a lot from small projects to big projects, daily rates on dump trucks and other equipment. So give them a shout. Anything small or large that you might have going on, please keep them in mind. Also, got to point out they are our local vendor for storm shelters. So again, good point to make after a morning like last night. If that is something that your family is interested in, please keep Kyle over at State Line Group in mind. So I said we had a ways to go this week, and we do. We do have a severe weather outlook for today, Tuesday. We are in the slight risk category again. I'm going to comb through this in a minute. We'll do the timing. Tornado outlook once again, not zero. We weren't really looking for that so much last night. It was not zero last night, but we really weren't looking for that. But possibly a similar setup in some ways coming together for this afternoon and evening. So tornado outlook is not zero for this headed into tonight. Severe wind and hail again seem much more likely to me, and that is just for tonight. So Wednesday, I want to go ahead and take a look at Wednesday. Wednesday is the most conditional of the area, to be honest with you, of the days. We're going to have to see what evolves tonight and how long that lingers into tomorrow. I'm going to show you some data in a second that suggests it does linger. So I'm not so sure about Wednesday, but SPC is still giving us a 2 out of 5 for Wednesday as well. We get a little bit of a reprieve for Thursday before we head over into Friday. Friday is starting to be the day that concerns me the most, even given last night. So we're not quite close enough yet that they're going to put the colors that we are used to on this out of the Storm Prediction Center. So here is Friday so far, giving us around a 30% chance or greater probability of severe weather for Friday. That could translate into the enhanced risk area, which is that orange. Haven't seen that in a while. That 3 out of 5 compared to today, which is 2 out of 5. Factors starting to align in a little bit more significant way for that Friday afternoon and evening. So we will certainly be paying attention to that. Be keeping that in mind for right now. Let's go back over to today. Let's go through the rest of the day today. So here is what we're paying attention to. There is going to be, kind of slide over here toward Kansas, there is going to be a dry line draped across Kansas down to Oklahoma and Texas. That's going to take effect by early afternoon. So what may happen is storms may fire this afternoon anywhere along that dry line, right? Anywhere out in front of it, and they would head off northeast. So data is suggesting that will hold off, that we won't actually see any storms develop here until about the 6 p.m. hour. So 5 to 6 p.m. Here is what data is suggesting, but we're going to be paying attention this afternoon. Anything is possible. We know that. We know that now, right? So here we are by 8 o'clock tonight. I do see storms working their way up from the south-southwest. Should see Independence, Iola, Garnett, Ottawa, on up to Kansas City. So we're looking for all threats possible here. We're going to have to watch because we will get a good clue when the storms start to originate down to the southwest, what kind of environment they will find on their way up here. So again, we're watching for that heating and instability to become a factor again this afternoon. But I think we're talking about storms tonight, certainly by 8 o'clock. Here is a 9 o'clock possible radar that we could be talking about strong damaging winds. We also could have a few smaller cells breaking off and being those clustered discrete cells again. I'm not seeing quite as much of that in this particular setup, but here we are by about 11 o'clock tonight. Yeah, and there's midnight. So, and then storms kind of crank back up. And so these should, be less severe. Should not be as strong at all. And this could make a big difference really in how tomorrow plays out. So here's like 11 o'clock tomorrow. Here's noon. So tomorrow afternoon, do we just have some sort of continual showers popping up? Again, these look a little bit heavier oriented to the south. So that's why I say tomorrow is conditional, but here's tomorrow night at about 5-6 o'clock. Will these storms that come through tomorrow evening have any strength left in the atmosphere to gather? What will they be like? So that's just sort of a big question mark for me, and that is Wednesday. So looking into tonight, hoping, and I'm looking at reasons that we may not have quite as much to worry about tonight. I don't know. I look at a couple factors I don't normally put up. This is supercell composite, and talking about those smaller discrete supercells, the risk is there again tonight. It's not super high, but it's not super low either. So I do expect some small, strong cells to form this evening. Significant tornado parameter is another one that I look at. This is what is making me think that the tornado threat really is greatest again to our southwest and possibly off to our northeast later in the day, but not so much for us. But I don't think we're completely out of the woods on the tornado threat again. I just cannot say that. So I hope it's on the lesser end. I tend to agree with that SPC outlook, but that is what I'm seeing. All right, I told you that Friday was concerning. It is. Every time that this happens, I try to bring this up just to sort of explain why. But as we move over into Friday, another trough digs in across the Intermountain West. That is not unusual. That is nothing really by itself to be concerned about. Except as we go toward Friday evening, the tilt takes on. It's kind of hard to see. We go a little bit later and see if there we go. As we go later, you can start to see the tilt takes on, or the trough takes on a slight negative tilt. Negative tilted troughs are notorious for producing severe weather. So anytime that we see a trough start to take that negative tilt, which would be toward the left of your screen, kind of hard to see, I know, but it is there, we start to talk about severe weather probability. So a lot is not known about this, like where will the low pressure exactly start, where will it orient, and where will it head off to? As of right now, I'm kind of thinking that we're going to see strong activity out in central Kansas, maybe a little bit toward east central Kansas. This is Friday again as this line moves through. Here's a couple of things to be hopeful in, though. As I go back to some of those severe weather parameters, I see them the strongest here over central Kansas, a little bit towards, again, east central Kansas. This is that supercell composite. So folks in central Kansas will start paying attention to Friday for sure. Look what happens as we go through the evening. I think this morning's data, and this is just one sampling of data. We have a lot of runs to go. Look at that dropping off towards more breathable, more normal values as we go through the evening. So I'm going to talk about CAPE values. You hear me talk about those. Same kind of orientation. Look how they're strongest out there in central Kansas. Fade off as we get towards the Kansas-Missouri line. Again, that's just one suggestion this morning. We have a lot of analysis left to go on that as that trough takes shape. Let's talk about temperatures. That's a good subject change, right? I mean, it's warm, and that's part of the problem. It's just a warm, active week. We have lots of warm air advecting in from the south, moist, warm air giving us all that to talk about that we just did. So I see mid to upper 80s today, a little bit cooler tomorrow, 79 for your Wednesday. There it is, Friday night into Saturday. It is going to be a strong cold front. I'm not actually sure that the front is going to have as much to do with it. We'll see. But anyway, we have a strong cold front that drags through. Looking for a cooler weekend. Look at these Sunday morning temperatures. I just kind of want to point those out for outside sensitive stuff still. Can't really believe that we'll be in the upper 30s for Sunday morning, but that's what it's looking like right now. So I will be paying attention again this afternoon and evening. I hope in the meantime you have a great Tuesday. I will catch you later.